Wow, it's time to see what Pedro and Ewan have to say about a few things. Let's go.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Slant.
Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version.
All right, Paulie, let's go.
Paulie here on the Latino Slant. How is everyone doing? Hope you are doing well and blessed. It's a blessing to be here, always giving you uh, our take, our angle, our perspective. And today's video, I thought I'd dive into a actor on actor conversation that is part of a series where this one is Ewan McGregor and Pedro Pascal talking to each other. And usually well, honestly, we've never reacted to actors talking to each other. It can get kind of schmactery. And what I mean by that, it can get very in house where actors are almost speaking a language to each other in their praise and support of each other. You lose the audience. It's a different language. And look, hey, that's not exactly a bad thing. It just becomes a very industry insider thing. I've seen several videos such as this one's not like this one, a lot like that. And there's also some insight into their productions with Star Wars, and more importantly, some insight into Ewan McGregor's sobriety, which for myself is a very sacred thing. So let's get into the first part. We're going to try to jump around. I'd like to do that. And let's hear what they have to say.
Pedro, it's a great pleasure to be speaking to you today.
It's an incredible pleasure to be speaking to you.
I just came directly from our set on the Kenobi series, and I'm working with so many of your crew from The Mandalorian. In fact, Deborah Chow is directing all of our series, and I know she's directing a couple of episodes of the first season. And it's just, I don't know, I'm having such an amazing time down there with that incredible technology and the volume.
Okay, so obviously, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a fan of these actors and excited about these television shows, this is fantastic insight. And it's funny because they go on to say how hard it is not to reveal secrets, and how sometimes people that interview them are very sneaky in how they do this. So uh, this is pretty cool. So I can't help but be a fawning fan at this moment.
And the not being in front of too much green
I
screen
mean, look at that. Look at that technology.
and blue screen.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's spectacular.
You would think that you would have to really invent all of it in your mind, and more than any set I've ever been on, it's there.
Yeah.
Meticulously created in the production design. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah.
So part of this new technology that Filoni and Favreau have helmed, and now Rodriguez, um, as opposed to going on exotic locations, right? And that's it's insight again. It's insight, and you can see the joy that these two actors are talking about it. It's like being on an amusement park ride.
Having done loads of it in the first one, I did the first three films in the late 90s and into
Wow, look at that! Look how young he was.
the 2000s. By the time we did episode 2 and 3, we were.
And I gotta say, he still looks great. He looks great.
Literally 90% of the scenes were just on green sets with green floors, green walls, or
wow.
blue.
I mean, just a short. I mean, we're talking less than 20 years. There's another leap in technology
with blue sides and blue walls, and we're doing stuff on there that you just that to the eye is like you're transported.
And it's unbelievable to me to think that it be such a different experience, but with the same character.
Yeah.
That you were doing before, and then coming in and doing it with all this new technology.
It reminds me of old Hollywood. It's like the beginning of Hollywood. I know it's almost like when
So, they're talking about how where a lot of movie productions, full movie productions, are just at the at the beginning. Back in the day, were all produced on sound stages. And but now it's a different technology. I also love the insight I'm getting to these personalities that they kind of open up to each other as the conversation goes on, and having some really firsthand knowledge on Pedro's personality and his background as a theater actor, and it's good to see this. It's good to see this, and yeah, but let's skip ahead. Let's just pick a spot here.
Thing, and nobody had done that yet.
Yeah.
He was the first. He was the first person to do that.
So
But
they
in a
talk
way,
about
it's sort of
they're talking about
it's
Halston.
great. It was amazing actors to work with, good writing,
But I
a
want to
great
get let's hit
director.
the point with Star Wars.
They were finding a way to totally realize their
Because this is good.
Started doing this Kenobi series, and it's similar in the technology, what have you. But it pulled me back into the Star Wars world, the Mandalorian series, in a way I didn't expect. I had my experience doing it in the 90s, and it sort of blew me away how much I loved it.
What's cool too is in this full interview, and we'll put the link on for you guys. It really is 30 minutes of great insight and joy. They talk about their acting with a puppet, and with Ewan with Ryota in episode 1, Phantom Menace, it was a real puppet. 2 and 3, it was CGI. Pedro, it's a puppet, and for them, the joy of a puppet is much more emotionally connected than a CGI of kind of nothing, which makes sense. Also, too, I thought it was hilarious was that they talk about at the end of each take, right, when they yell cut, the puppet master stopped working, so you literally see the Yoda or the Gorgu deflate and kind of like dying each time. that was pretty funny. Let's hit some more of this.
It was sort of the first thing that I noticed when I started meeting with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni was that they were finding a way to totally realize their love of Star Wars, all of our love for Star Wars, for all of the movies we'd seen up to that point, and so creatively to step into something, it felt, I don't know.
It's kind of interesting there. He's trying to put his thoughts together, and then they did a cut. I'm wondering, in that cut, did he continue to mumble on? Was he trying to find the right words? But that was interesting. I mean, you got to praise your bosses, but maybe he was trying to put the words. Maybe he's being a little too politically correct there. I do get what they're both saying, is that Favreau and Filoni are passionate about Star Wars, and that's a divisive with a lot of fans, but it is what it is.
Oh, it just felt so safe. It was so clear to me that they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Starting with their heart being so in the right place, and doing it, with a lot of love.
Yeah.
Nice. Let's move on a little bit more, and then I want to finish it up with the sobriety issues. But I know you guys love all the Star Wars points.
And some new friends, and of course, how did you keep the Baby Yodas? It's not called Baby Yoda, Grogu. How did you keep it? How was that kept secret?
Very good.
Thank you. How was it kept secret? Because that didn't get released.
That's the first secret that it may literally be the very first secret that I've ever kept.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That was a big one.
Don't share anything personal with me. No, you can always trust me. But
that's great. Don't share anything with me personally. That's so cute. So I guess what he's saying is, like, I think the first here, I think he explains when he found out.
I guess there's so much seriousness around leaked information, and I find it all just a bit too much,
right?
And so I tell my family everything, and I didn't with Grogu. I didn't even know what his name was going to be until the second season, but I could.
Wow. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I gotta tell you, okay, there's a couple things here. The first thing is that the fact that he wasn't able to tell his family um, about this secret. Listen, Latinos are big mouths. We love to talk. We love talking to our family, especially like kind of impressing, and when there's something that we want to impress with. So the fact that he didn't tell his familia, wow. But also too, he said he didn't even know the name of Gorgu until the second season. That's insane. I mean, obviously they didn't have a name, but still, that is a very interesting point. And I hope you're enjoying this little insight. I'm just kind of jumping around this 30 some odd minute interview that they did with each other. There's some lovely moments, just talking about the different productions, but of course a lot of Star Wars talk. Then towards the end, um, Pedro kind of asked Ewan about train spotting and dealing with these characters or addicts, and um, Ewan talks about his sobriety, which I'd like to end this video on because this is a really important and very amazing thing for a man to express his sobriety eloquently as Ewan does. So let's jump a little bit. Let's see if we can get it.
Harbor soda and some pretend heroin, and he demonstrates who I don't know why they were all. It was maybe just a guy.
Tolerant he would be to work with somebody who was falling into dangerous.
Okay.
Like
here we
one
go.
of the very, very first times I ever saw you, which was in Train Spotting, which was like this really sort of brutal.
And look at him. I mean, that's when we all. I that's when I discovered him. I know he did some stuff before that, but Train Spotting in the late '90s was huge for us.
Brutal depiction of addiction, and then literally finishing the fourth episode, because he starts in the first episode with Joel Schumacher and kind of calling out how dangerous or how intolerant he would be. So Pedro's talking about two different projects, one in the past, one in the present time, where Ewan is playing Halston, fashion designer. And both are addicts. Both characters are addicts and dealing with cocaine and all that stuff. To work with somebody who's falling into dangerous drug use, and then he succumbs to it. Is it exhausting to sort of research addiction or to? So Pedro asks, "Is it exhausting to research addiction?" Wow, what a question! I'm gonna blow this up for them. Oh man, my heart is. Woof. I have coming up on 7 years, God willing. And again, I think that's why I did this. I'm doing this video. I'm on two levels here, guys. The Star Wars talk, 3 levels, the actor talk. That's what I geek out on. But the core of my spirit is the sobriety talk. And this is beautiful, man. Okay, let's make it big. And great question, Pedro asks. Is it exhausting researching being an addict? Embody it. How different did it feel then versus now?
No, I'm sort of interested in it in a way that when I was doing Train Spotting, I worked with some really extraordinary guys who I don't know why they were all. It was maybe just a guys' club, but there's a club in Glasgow called the Carlton Athletic Club, and it's a recovery group, and I suppose it's like NA or A or something, but they have meetings, they help each other with support, and
so I think Ewan's sobriety comes up around 2000. And I'd like to thank the great Mexican Iron Man for connecting me to this interview, because he knows about my sobriety and about my journey. And, we say in AA, the happy road to destiny is slightly uphill. And you're seeing a man share his experience.
they play they play soccer, they have soccer teams, you know.
Yeah.
We worked with those guys, and we had like a drug. We had Eamon was his name. He was our drug advisor. So during the rehearsal period, he lined us all up at this table, and we were all given all the things we would need to cook up a shot of heroin, like a little cigarette lighter and a spoon and some matches and bicarb of soda and some pretend heroin. And
Damn.
he demonstrated how you would do it. And then he would walk up and down the line as we were all trying to do it. And he'd like, no, more bicarb, and that's not enough heroin. And you'd soak it through, he was giving us like it was so funny.
A tutorial on how to
tutorial.
shoot up.
I've looked back on it, like this guy was in recovery,
A tutorial on how to shoot up. Man, you talk about like, getting into it, method.
How did that feel to him, to be doing that? But there was a great humor about it all, I suppose. And I didn't realize I would end up, with addiction problems myself then, and became sober in 2000. And so now when I'm looking at characters who are
I want to stop. When he did Phantom, and you could tell a drinker, you could tell your own kind. Take a look at Phantom, some of his close-ups, and then take a look at some of the close-ups in the subsequent films. Attack of the Clones and Revenge. He looks much healthier. Some shots in Phantom you can see like it looks a little bloated, not healthy. And that's drinking. That's like, that's drinking 101. It's, and I find that very, very interesting. All right. Well, let's continue with this man's talk.
Addicts. I look at it through a different lens, of like of understanding it more. And I am fascinated by it because it's an everyday part of my life is being sober, but at the same time, it's quite an important part because it's given me such joy and happiness and peace.
I love that. Guys. It's an everyday practice. It's called enlarging our spiritual life. And then you got to do it every day, right? And that's what he's talking about. And the gifts, men, is you get some serenity and some peace. This is so cool. And this is almost an amazing public health address that we don't get enough of, because we fawn and praise and, worship actors way too much, celebrity way too much. But when they're saying, important lessons of their life, and they're not preaching anyone, they're just like, this is what I'm going, this is what I go through, and this is how I have happiness, is what I went through. I've always said I want my spiritual leaders to have some scars on them. All right. Yeah, let's go on. Let's continue. I hope you're enjoying this. This is amazing.
In a way that I didn't have before I was sober. So I like to look at it. It's interesting to go back. It's interesting to do all those lines of coke and all those cigarettes and shots and that Halston was doing. And just being glad that they weren't real. Just being happy about that.
The humor, man. We got a sick sense of humor, us alcoholics. But he was talking about a recent project. Or thank God that stuff was fake.
But understanding it, but it gives you an understanding, of course. I understand about addiction, and I could imagine Halston. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know how honest the portrayal of his relationship was.
We're going to wrap up, but let me see what else we got here.
We weren't sort of servicing their relationship because in the documentary of Halston, Joel Schumacher all the time. I think that was one of the beautiful things about him,
Halston.
Yeah. So it goes on. And it's only a few minutes left. It's a 30-minute, 31, almost 32-minute full interview. And I just really wanted to hit on the Star Wars stuff, of course. Their personalities opening up, talking about, some of their adventures. And how they're sharing crews and the directors. But But I also want to talk about. I also wanted to hit up on the sobriety issue, and I think it's amazing. So, do me a favor. Let me know what you think of this video, and there's probably a couple more I'm going to react to. Not all of them, because not all of them I'm a fan of. But this one, these guys knock it out of the park. Great conversation. We'll see you really soon, and wherever you're at, keep your beautiful slant muy fuerte.
Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. The slant.
Yeah, but isn't this the unplugged version? I don't know. I think it's the unplugged version.
All right, Paulie, let's go.